So firstly, we're going to talk about integrations. As I mentioned, siloed technologies is not really somewhere where you're going to provide a better customer experience. So having different integrations is absolutely key, and that's something that we can really do well with Webex. So we'll start with file sharing. So obviously when you're collaborating, you may want to drop a document in a chat, work on that. And the beautiful thing with Webex is you're not limited to just one provider in terms of that file sharing capability. So obviously you can upload your local files from your computer, but you can plug in your SharePoint, OneDrive, Box and Google into here as well. And what's really nice is if I were to share a PowerPoint, for example, Ross, my colleague, might open that up. That opens up in a Webex window that has that PowerPoint in it. So you can actually edit the PowerPoint without having to launch that document platform, i.e. Word, PowerPoint, whatever it may be. So you can actually collaborate and work on documents natively within Webex, which is pretty cool. And then when you start to look at the Office 365 suite, which does tend to raise quite a few eyebrows because, as you know, Webex is a Cisco product, not a Microsoft product. This sort of, how well can it integrate with Office 365? And it actually does a fantastic job. So, for example, starting with your Outlook, the ability to actually connect your calendar, which is great. So you can access all your calendar and your meetings and join them from Webex. You've then also got the ability, if you want to schedule your meetings, you can choose to do that via Webex or the Outlook scheduler. So when you click on schedule a meeting, it pops open your Outlook, but then also the little Webex application in the Outlook application itself. So if you just did it natively ad hoc sort of in Outlook, you can obviously have all your pre-populated Webex information natively in there as well. But as a team, in terms of collaboration, something that I use a lot with the Outlook integration is when I want to create a meeting for the sales team. There's 12 of us nowadays. Imagine trying to book a meeting when everyone's available. The nice thing is when I go to schedule that meeting, it does a data lookup into everyone's Outlook calendar, so I can know that, hey, great, we might get everybody, but if 10 out of 12 are available, then that's maybe the best we can get. We can book it that time, record it, and then everyone can access that afterwards. So that's a really nice integration in terms of being a little bit more efficient when you're looking at integrating certain aspects into the business. Next, you're probably raising your eyebrows around Word, PowerPoint, and Excel. So around your documents. So one thing that I use a lot of the time, especially when I'm traveling and I'm away from my desk or I don't have my two monitors, is you can actually collab and IM within your documents. So for example, Word, PowerPoint, Excel, as you'll see from the video, this is me actually creating a slide deck. I'm signing into my Webex on the top right hand side there. And as you'll see, it's authenticating me there. I can then sign in and then I can actually send messages and access all of my chats in PowerPoint. So again, when I'm traveling to London and I'm just down to my laptop, rather than trying to go through multiple different applications to send a message when I'm trying to finish a PowerPoint, a spreadsheet, for example, I can do that natively within PowerPoint, Word, and Excel, which is really cool and something I believe that teams can't currently do. So that's something that we see a lot of traction with, and definitely saves me a lot of time. And then finally, you've got Azure. So Webex out of the box will be authenticated with your BroadWorks credentials. So when you build a new user in Anywhere portal, their username and password. But what we do tend to see a lot of is people changing the authentication provider. So there's multiple different options. Azure, the Microsoft credentials is the most common one. You can also authenticate this with your Google credentials, even your Apple credentials. And one that is an option, but I'll be honest, I've never seen. You can actually authenticate with your Meta credentials, i.e. your Facebook and Instagram if you wanted to. Not saying I've seen that very often, but hey, it's an option there if you wanted it. But when we talk about the Azure authentication, the beautiful thing about that is it's very nice and easy to set up. We've set it up for quite a lot of our customers. And then for the end user, it's providing a better customer experience because it's one less set of credentials to remember. They've just signed in with their Microsoft credentials. And again, for the business, they can overlay their MFA policies on top of that as well. So that is something very nice and sort of simple to set up. So there's lots of different integrations in terms of your file sharing, but then also if you're connected into the Office 365 suite, there's some really nice rich integrations that can add some real value. And then when we look at the App Hub, so this is again something that's natively sits in Webex. It's essentially your Webex App Store. There's thousands and thousands of different applications. And as you'll see when you go into the App Hub, they're nicely categorized for you. So whether you want to look at some analytics or collaboration management, or if you just use a CRM or some sort of financial software, for example, have a little look. If they're an application, great. Again, if in the description it may give you exactly what you want, you can then bring that into your Webex environment, which is again just enhancing on that sort of integration piece. Ultimately as well, if there isn't an application there, there's plenty of developer tools, so there's no reason why you couldn't then build your own app if you had that skill set internally. Some of the key standouts in terms of the apps in Webex that we see a lot of adoption of is Salesforce. So the nice thing with that is you can actually create leads, contacts, and opportunities within Webex. So when you're chatting to somebody, and you can also get some updates around if an opportunity is closed or if there's a new opportunity been created. So again, you can have those updates live within Webex. Again, stop you having to jump between different applications. One of the really cool ones is Akixi. So as I'm sure you'll all know, Akixi is our call analytics platform. There's a bot that lives in Webex, so I can message Akixi saying, hey, show me my wall boards. I can then select which wall board I may want to look at, so the sales team, for example. And what that will do is it will just basically take what data is showing on that wall board and drop that into the chat for me. So again, I can get all the access to my data when I want it, again, within Webex, rather than have to jump in between different applications. And some of the other key ones that we've had good feedback on is utilizing HubSpot, and obviously the CRM, but also that content management application, and also Microsoft To Do, so for task management. So again, you can update your teams when certain projects or project actions are being completed as well, which is quite cool. So you can really bring a lot into Webex from that sort of integration standpoint.